Dude, you were gonna miss it one of these times. Just saying.
We're here, Craig Martelle, coming to you live from the subarctic, where it is light. I actually took a picture at 1:30 this morning, and I'll share on the feed just so you can see. And that's I don't have one of those sexy low light cameras. This was just with my normal iPhone 10 at normal setting, and at 1:30 in the morning. Not light enough to cast a shadow, but it's light enough that yeah, you can drive without your headlights. And today
Hey,
on the Craig and
so
Michael show, how odd we have Michael.
well, so it's kind of interesting right now. I can see myself like from my camera, but I can't see whether or not my person that's actually connected to that's next to you is working or not. So am I moving for you?
You're perfectly fine. Yeah, yeah. You're moving
Okay.
around.
Oh,
You
that's
do,
interesting.
do your hands. Yeah.
Yeah. So I am presently still in the Las Vegas Valley. I am actually still on the strip, but I got kicked out of my condo. So I'm, can't exactly do a podcast when someone's cleaning the condo. So I've come down to the room where we've had some LMBPN meetings, and I'm down here. So I will be all around the place now. We're doing a staycation right here in Vegas, and let me tell you, Caesars is packed. It
Really?
was very busy last night. Not that I didn't. Roving reporter went out, wanted to make sure everybody was looking good, and you know, just sacrificing for the family. A
That's right.
view of
That's right. Taking one for the team just to make sure people are doing
yes,
what they need to stay safe, or ignoring everything altogether. And I saw a meme this morning that was just absolutely hilarious and made me laugh. It said the phrase "avoid it like the plague" is no longer valid because we've had a plague and we didn't avoid it at all. So I think it's important to note that this saying is no longer valid.
well, yeah, well, and it's for me at least. When you avoid stuff, you have to have an idea that it's there in the first place.
Yeah,
And when you have an asymptomatic sort of plague, it's kind of hard to figure out if you've avoided anything.
yeah, yeah. Were you exposed or did you avoid? I don't know. I mean, we've had some new cases up here in Fairbanks. We had gone 30 days without a new case, so we should have been as safe as you could be. And they opened it up. We've been open up for 2 weeks, and all of a sudden, like 2 days ago, they're like, "Oh, three new cases." It's like we've been open for 2 weeks, so three new cases. It mostly everything is business as usual. Even Costco, you can go in without a mask now. It's
Oh
weird.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, they try to do things here in Vegas, and if you go in, there's Purell places all over the place.
yeah.
New York is interesting because they built hand washing stations over by the hotel registration. So
Okay,
there are complete new implementation of hand washing stations. And
cool.
so, yeah, it was quite different. And they have masks and everything else that are available. A lot of people don't use them.
Yeah.
It's kind of throw the dice whether or not someone's going to happen next to you. So, but overall, my restaurants that I love are not open yet. Aria's doesn't open up until the beginning of July sometime.
Okay.
So, but still I'm able to go out, but it's never going to be the same, man.
Yeah. Yeah, a little bit different. And the restaurants you're going to, about half the seats filled. They can't
Well,
fill them all.
yeah, a lot of the restaurants who have the ability to have tables have ripped out tables that you can't sit at. So
Okay.
those are fantastic. And we were at a very nice steak restaurant in Caesars called Old Homestead, and it was packed. I mean, it was hours to get into that place. So, and we did. And if you ever get a chance to go there, it was delicious.
Okay.
Just took a little while to get to it, and they don't have bread at the moment, which really was sad.
Oh,
Um, but we're continuing on. We still work pretty much every single day. We're still putting the books out. We're creating new relationships in audio and moving forward.
that's yeah, yeah. The moving forward. I mean, my God, I've been as productive as I could be. I've got a book coming out Monday, as you know. The thing that started it all. We're finally wrapping up that one series, even though we've got plenty of other stuff going. And then another book, wrapping up another series that we're doing, Michael Anderle and Wolfpack Publishing, that
Hmm.
wraps up at the end of the month. And those books are already in. They're in. They're done. just sitting in the queue
Yeah,
as I
yeah.
work on my thriller. So plenty of stuff. Plenty of stuff.
So you and I were talking like early this week, and you had mentioned that you had it in, you had the book early, you were going to release it early, and I'm thinking to myself, no big deal. This is fantastic. Not a deal. Until Lynn gets a hold of me and says, "Oh, by the way, since Craig is releasing a week early, we need the author notes now." And I'm like, but I was done with author notes. I had done them all. I was a good boy. I had them in early, except
Yeah.
for Craig.
Yeah. Well, that's why I warned you ahead of time, man. That's okay.
Yeah, you
You could have
didn't
done them that
exactly
same day.
explain to me the whole ramifications of this.
Yeah, yeah. Well, good. Thanks for getting them in. I thought about that this morning. Actually, I'm like, geez, I wonder if Michael ever got his notes in, or if that part of it says Michael's notes. Here's a date, and then nothing. Yeah, yeah. That where I left it open in the template.
I saw that. I went to yours and went and read it. And that's what actually Lynn gave me is here's his book. And I'm like, interesting. To the end, to the end, to the end, to the end. Let
This
me
is like
find his author notes so I can find out what he said.
900 pages
Yes.
long. What the hell are you doing?
But it's been something. And so you and I were talking a little bit earlier this morning about what are we going to speak to. And of course, if anyone has questions, hopefully we'll see them over in the piece going up and down. Good morning, everyone, by the way. And but we just talked about, what are we seeing? What are we still doing as just an overall premise? And one of the things that caught our attention was let's talk about ads and ad spend and what we're seeing, what's going on right now, related both to the fact that whenever COVID hit, two major things happened. Big spenders dropped, like they stopped spending. And so that took the cost per click way down. It uncovered for us anyway, some of our mid-level spend cost per click bids all of a sudden became the high bids. And so that actually sent our spend skyrocketing. And then the cost per click just in general went down. And so all of a sudden now you get more impressions, you get more clicks for the same amount of money if you kept your spend at the same amount. And it also, a fair amount of the bigger indies who are publishing a lot stopped releasing. They felt it wasn't a good time to release into a very upside down market, and so they just stopped releasing. Both of those have turned around. So you want
Yeah.
to speak to what you got going, Craig?
Yeah, I've been looking at those ads. I have upped my spend during the COVID-19. First, it was inadvertent. The first month in March, my spend went down because all the CPC went down. The cost per click went way down, and so I got the same number or more impressions and clicks and sales for half the advertising price. So I jacked my spending up, and guess what came back up with it? So yeah, my spending is I get those annoying notices saying you've spent $500 at an alarming frequency now, and yeah, so we've started a whole bunch of ads. We started a few separate Facebook ads in order to maximize. We ran some A/B tests. James ran some A/B tests for me, and we wickered and came up with, hey, here's some more ad campaigns. We put together the whole plan for the summer of, hey, here's the promos we got. And I was looking at my sales this morning and crying because all my promos had run the course because I was clearing the decks for the release on Monday. That the big release and all that. The whole Bad Company series is 99 cents, and this huge push this week. And yeah, so today I'm like, oh man, there's no sales. There's a lot to be said for promotions. They keep the money wheel turning. So
Yes.
yeah, I've had no promotions for a week. I actually have a newsletter going out tomorrow with shelf space for a different thing, and so that's it. But a thing I did over the past few weeks was I ran a giveaway with an old a Millennium Falcon, a Lego Millennium. It was 1,300 pieces. It was a massive beast, and I ran it through King Sumo to try to build up my newsletter list. And that was I figured, hey, if somebody likes a Lego Millennium Falcon, they're probably going to like sci-fi of some sort, and they may like the books, they may not, but hey, it was worth a shot. So I got 850 subscribers, of which 650 were unique
Oh,
for
nice.
a Millennium Falcon that had been gathering dust for 2 years. I bought it for my wife for Christmas, and she didn't. Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. And so it sat there for 2 years unopened, and that was my penance, sitting in the open in the living room for 2 years. And I'm
Has
like, hey,
Wendy noticed that it's gone?
Oh, I asked her. I'm like,
Oh,
hey, you're not ever going to put this together, are you? She said, no. I said, okay, all right, let's. So anyway, I did a giveaway, and then so 650 subscribers. I think I paid maybe $175 for it, but it was repurposed because it was bought for a different purpose. I'm like, hey, what the hell? It's here doing nothing. I might as well do this with it. And got 650 subscribers, and I'm running them through my automation sequence, and I'm getting 50 to 60% click rate, and they're down to the fourth email now. So that has worked really, really well. And this is a trick that I got from Michelle Spiva was target and those people who are looking for entertainment. And
hmm
that's why I figured, hey, if they like the Millennium Falcon, they might like science fiction, they might like science fantasy, they might like nothing written, and then who knows? It was worth a gamble. So I have a hand carved Millennium Falcon wood clock as part of our downsizing. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna put this thing out there too. It's King Sumo is your friend, right? And and see if we can get some more subscribers. I'll do some separate Facebook ads for that and not push it as much on my other pages. But yeah, I want subscribers. That's the one thing. You own them if you have their email and it's a good email. That's something in your control. Everything else is not in your control. Like Amazon,
no,
you can bid what you want, you can do the things, but whether they show the ad or not, you don't know for sure.
do you remember the author who wrote a bunch of Star Wars, 20, 30 years ago, Alan Dean Foster?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know that name? So if there was the original Star Wars in hardback came out with George Lucas's name on the front, but it
Okay,
was Alan Dean Foster who actually wrote it.
okay.
Um, and I have a hardback from back then, signed by Alan Dean Foster with George Lucas. I mean, it's one of the originals, and that brings up a good point. Something like that is worth hundreds of dollars. Now, likely you're going to get, a ton of people who are just interested in Star Wars, and this is great memorabilia. But it would be something worth testing. I mean, it's a unique product.
Well, and also it's a book. It's a
Yes.
book. It's already got a huge brand because there's a lot of people. Hey, I'm going to run a giveaway on my books to get subscribers.
Mm,
That's not optimal because if they know you enough to want your book, they probably are already a subscriber. I would like to think.
yeah,
So
possibly.
so that you're not gonna dragnet hundreds and thousands of people looking for hey a free book. I'm gonna sign up to get it. Well, a free book if it's Alan Dean Foster's original or a first edition,
hmm
an old Heinlein from the '60s, a first edition paperback, one of those uh, uh, two-sided ones where you flip them over. Those are cool. If you had a
Yes.
few of those, like if you had your mini collection, all stuff that you're drawing in the right readership, and that's the thing with building the newsletter and building your list is you want to find exactly the right readers for you. Otherwise, if you just do a generic list builder with a bunch of people on a massive site, you get what you get. You're going to get a high unsubscribe rate, and
hmm
you'll get frustrated because you're doing these emails and stuff, and you're doing a lot of work, and the value is limited. But I have high hopes for the Lego Millennium Falcon newsletter addies. So very high hopes.
So we had a couple of questions. So let's go through this. First question goes to you, Craig. What did you get her as a makeup present?
Yeah, there was no lightsaber action because of that present. If you understand, what was the makeup present? My wife travels wherever she wants to go, and we take good care of her. So goes to Spain for Spanish lessons, and and
For
yeah,
Spanish lessons.
yeah.
Okay.
Where else would you go for Spanish lessons? So
So
things like
here's
that.
Okay. So here's a legit question. Have either of you been able to determine the difference between read through from discount promotions and read through from organic growth? And for me, my answer is going to be discount promotions typically sit in the to be read pile a lot. It has a higher frequency of that. So you're just not going to see it as much. And then you wouldn't be able to actually ascertain what it is because those numbers might come back weeks or months after you're actually trying to do any reporting for it. So that would be my answer. Craig?
The only ones you can really get a good grip on are your organic, the people who buy the book at $4.99 on because they got hooked in by an ad, and only because those people are more vocal. hey, they just paid full price for this book and they liked it and they want to send you a note. I get those notes. Hey, I just found your work. It was a good ad. And which, okay, that reinforces, hey, we got some good graphics. We got some good gripping ad language. And that's the only way I know. So as far as a metric, it's one of those unmeasurable. This is a numbers game. You want to put your work into as many hands as possible, and free isn't what it used to be. You can give away 50,000 copies of free and maybe 100 will read it. But if you sell at 99 cents, they're more likely to read it because they have buy-in. And if they
They're
buy it at
also
full,
negative.
what's
Yeah.
that?
Have you noticed the 99 cents get you a lot worse reviews?
Well, free gives me the absolute worst reviews.
Yeah, so it's inversely proportional at that point. You're
Yeah,
going to get a lot of people who do not appreciate your work, and that actually goes back to sales psychology. If you ever use the Sandler Institute, which is a training, they will tell you that your best people are going to be the ones that paid the most because not only have they kicked the tires a little bit more, but once they've invested the money,
yeah,
they have a concerted effort to follow through mentally with the fact that they approve of this purchase. So
yeah.
those that have offered little for it have no problems whatsoever just hitting you with both, blasts for how they thought this sucked, even though they haven't read it.
Yeah, well, and that's also, you don't want to be, nobody likes to stand up and say, "Boy, I was wrong." I mean, if you pay
Yeah.
full price for a book, I've had some people respond, "Hey, I paid full price for this thing and it sucks." Okay, hey,
Yes.
we put it in the wrong hands. But then you have people who say, "Hey, I like this book. It gave me what I wanted," and they're more likely to give you a positive review if they paid full price for it because they're more committed. I mean, with that cost comes the value, and that value perception. Free, if you've got 10 books and you're very clear, hey, books 2 through 9 are $4.99, I'm giving you book 1 as a sample. Well, then the value perception the value proposition is different than, hey, take a free book. And I see that's a free booksy with their, hey, here's a freebie. I mean, it's like a sample. You can take it or leave it, chuck it in the trash, as opposed to, hey, here's the first book in a 10-book series. You can try it for free. It's a differently shaped message. And this is how you make sure that you get better readers for your story. It's like, hey, I want you to get invested, but I don't want you to take any financial risk to do that. And then, hey, there's these other books, but you got to pay for them because, baby needs a new pair of shoes.
Related to the question about how much would you spend on AMS ads or ads in general, normally I try to do something that's $5 a day for any particular series, but honestly, the question is a lot related to your budget because you're going to be investing now and you're not going to be making the money back for 60 to 90 days minimum. So you have to understand what is your cash flow opportunity there. We certainly run in circles where people have spent 35 to $40,000 a month, and we do it as well at times. None of ours are $40,000 on a particular series. We break it up. LMBPN is working towards we have 100 series in the company, and we're looking at trying to make sure that every single series that we have has at least $150 a month spend on it, going forward. So minimum that we're trying to do. And at 100 series, you can imagine that's a little bit of a chaos trying to make sure everybody's got their money. What ads, all this and stuff working. So, we have a team of 3 that are working toward making sure these things are happening. Plus, if you include our email cost, our social costs, and everything else, advertising is a large portion of our monthly spend. Correct?
Yeah, 100. I do the same thing. I do auto ads on almost every book. And that's just a few nickels a day just to get that book in front of people. Because if somebody likes a book 8, they may go back and buy the whole series. So I consider that almost like a loss leader kind of thing. I do
Mm-hmm.
focus the majority of my manual targets on my first books, on the first book in a series. I have so many series that I might have 10 or 12 different first in series getting hit heavy in advertising. So I'm spending, I don't know, maybe 300 a day on ads between those series, with most of those on maybe 15 titles, with ads upwards on 100 different titles, but about 15 of those are getting the preponderance of the spend. And that's through Facebook. I only have a very small number of Facebook ads running presently, but the spend is heavy. I'm not doing any BookBub ads, but I am doing a lot of list building efforts right now because that's, as you mentioned last year, you're like, hey, if you have the money to spend the money on building your list because that is going to be the gift that keeps on giving. And especially if you have a number of releases, I was only looking at like 4 to 6 releases this year, but I've already had 6 releases in the first 6 months because, hey, when you don't get to go anywhere, you don't get to
Sandbagger.
travel, you don't get to go out to restaurants, you don't get to do all of that stuff. You might as well get the words. So I did take that opportunity, and we came through with a lot of material.
Hmm.
So advertising the hell out of it, hitting it with promotions, and trying to keep them in front of people. So
So something that's a little bit off topic, but I just was going through with Jens over, who works with us on the German side, and the team has put out 33. The German team has put out 33 German editions, of which Dakota Kraut's book is now number two behind that asshole Anderle in one of the genres. And so I would suspect, though, that Dakota and the strength of his completionist chronicles will end up overcoming. Damn him. But we're really proud that the German group has got 33 books. They're putting out about anywhere from 2 to 5 a month. And so, really pushing forward. And so just everything that's going there, but also we're doing advertising in German, which is an interesting test of how to do that for a bunch of Americans. So fortunately, we have Jens and anything he can do to help us trying to understand how do we switch over to German. Did our translation come out correctly for the advertising itself? And so it's been interesting. I noticed that Jonathan Yanez has a fair amount of German books this morning, but in the particular genre that Jens was showing me, we had taken spots 1, 2, and 3. So we'll go with there. And I should have grabbed a screenshot so I could have seen that Dakota Crowd in German was number two behind Anderle until the inevitable happens. So, but just a lot of fun there. So great to his team, great to the people that are doing it. And then we'll also be releasing in German Eric Uglin's lit RPG stuff. So a lot of fun there. But that's off topic. Yeah, the spreadsheet, it is actually a crazy spreadsheet. It took us about 6 months of iterations to go through to kind of see what is it that we needed to see at the highest level.
yeah,
We call it efficiency. What we're really meaning is what's the amount of spend versus what's the amount of income. We try to keep that at 20%. And I do recognize that we don't include overhead. This is strictly spend. You don't get the opportunity to say what is the release, the latest release, how much did it actually benefit the first release, which is the efficiency. There's a lot of those things that are part of it, but what we try to do is understand at the highest level, what are we trying to do in order to get a handle on where are we at and where we need to adjust. And so that spreadsheet gets updated by the team once a week. And then once every 2 weeks, I actually have conversations where we go through all of the different series to find out which ones are kind of like which ones are in the green, which is you've spent, it's one of those things you don't want to spend too little because if you have the opportunity, you want to invest in. So that's a slight problem that you want to invest. You have those that are spending a good amount, the growth is at the right place, just like the porridge for the bears, and then those that were spending a whole bunch. And sometimes you do that on purpose. It's like, yeah, 40% of spend, that's more than what we intend to ever do. But we know book three is right around the corner. And so we want to, kick it up a little bit.
yeah. but but spend some, like I said, some series I don't spend a whole lot on. I mean, it might be not even $5 a month, but
Yeah.
it'll work its way into the rotation because I do promotions every 2 weeks on a first in series, and with 17, 18 different series, you can wicker those without too much overlap and have 9 months. And the
Okay.
readership
So,
swaps out in those paid newsletters, so 9 months in between a promotion
so
is
go
good
for it
timing.
if something is only, you've got one series of 3 books and maybe another series that you're about to start. In that case,
Yeah.
what would you be thinking of doing when you're the single author who's, doesn't write 100,000 words a month?
Yeah.
Any advice on that level?
The advice is you really need to advertise because you've got to get your book into people's hands. And that advertisement might include just simple newsletter sharing, working with other authors to keep your book visible. But if without that, you need to do something to keep it in front of people, even if you only have one, even if the second one is coming out 6 months from now, you still have to do something to make your presence known. Make sure your front matter and back matter puts them on your newsletter so you don't lose that hook. Because if you're 6 months or a year between releases, they're going to forget about you, even if they read and loved your book. But by the time that next book comes out, they'll forget about you unless you have your email address, and then you just tell them, "Hey, my newest book is out. Thank you for reading my last one. I'm glad you appreciated it. Here's the next one." So, what wouldn't I market? I don't know. I don't like having books sitting there and not earning their keep. Even a book 4 years old that okay, it's
Hmm.
not good. I'll still run a giveaway. I might run an audiobook. Hey, I've got a couple codes, and re-energize it for a little bit. One book lately, probably the best book I ever wrote that didn't sell very well. I had a few high powered authors read it, and they gave me they're like, "I love this book," and they gave me quotes. So I'm like, I threw those quotes out there and ran a new promo and sold a few more copies. But just rotation. Don't get so fixated. And I know 20 books to 50K, 750 a day for every. It's okay if you have a book that doesn't make anything, but then it's okay if you have a plan to market that book, and then it does need to make something because you need to get some payback on your marketing, and
Oh,
that's
good point. So
yeah.
let me jump in right there. So right now, across 100 series, we do have some that are not as good as others, and it's kind of, I want to say, well known, maybe not well understood, that sometimes no matter what you do, you can't make it in either wide or you can't make it in kind of unlimited. And so what we've been starting to do is, with Opus X and that effort, and then going on, is we're moving product wide. So if we're not, either it's past Kindle Unlimited's done what it could, or we just can never seem to get traction. We're moving it wide. Now, certainly the part of the benefit is that we're getting our name out wide, but the other part of the benefit is once you're outside of Kindle Unlimited, what you want to do with that book is up to you. So you can start giving it away. You can start doing so many different things outside of the constraints of Kindle Unlimited to acquire emails. Jump onto multivariate groups where all of a sudden now, email is the cash that you're being paid, because you can, if you want to do quantify, one valid email address is worth about $1. That's about what you're going to cost, unless you're doing some really hard efforts. It's going to cost you 75 cents to $1 to acquire a good email. And if you get 200 emails, that's worth $150 worth of marketing in your pocket and then some. So, consider that. Consider taking your stuff wide, like we are on some of the stuff, just in case, to not only get a name out there wide, because it's always good to be insured, but also for the marketing opportunities as well. If you
Okay,
have
John
oh,
Evans, and actually he has the too long didn't read. Is it important that books in a trilogy are the same length? You have one 30K and you have one 60K. That's pretty significant because now you have a novella versus a novel. And in my Bad Company series, I have a book that's 51,000 words, and the most recent one was 135,000 words. So I am a very stickler that every book must be exactly the same length. The books are as long as they need to be. But if the first book is 30K, and I've done this with a few different series where the first book was a little shorter than the other ones, the fans have a tendency to get a little bit miffed if they're expecting a different product. Like in our Dark Landing series, the first book was 17,000 words, and the second book was 30,000 words. They got a little bit miffed at that, and they're like, "Hey, what is this? This is a little more than the back of a cereal box." I mean, they were less than congenial. So you have to set that stage well. So in that case, I would really recommend you bump up that first book to a little more. But that's just
well,
me. I don't know the first book. As long as it's a
yeah,
complete story, and you can sell the readers on that hey, this is a complete story, then it's your
I
best
have
guess.
no, yeah, I do know someone that's made, good $5,000 to $8,000 a month on series that were about 25 to 30,000 words long. And you could take book two and break it into two and three if you wanted to. Now, the other thing is, in series, you're going to hopefully get 100% of your readers into book one, and you're going to lose people between books one and two. And do you really want them to be reading a 30,000 word book for everybody that you're going to advertise to, and you knowing that you're not going to get them to go to book two? And the answer should be no. So perhaps two becomes two, one and two, you know, move it into one book, but just, my encouragement at that level is that you're going to want a longer book one for that reason, as well as what Craig said as well. I didn't realize we were going to have a conversation of the LMBP and German people all joining here. And Vinny, no, I'm just being lazy. I really don't like to either get my hair cut, which thank God it is, or shave. But I do that upon occasion. And then Vinny, weren't you supposed to reach out and get a hold of me? Because I suck at getting a hold of you apparently. So let's do that sometime.
But yeah, I like what Michael said. Just make it a duology, 2 books instead of a trilogy. Don't. I mean, I always call them a series because my very first series, the End Times Alaska, I called it a trilogy, and we released a 4th book. So yeah, don't do that. So call it a series and take the first book, second book, make them book 1, and now you got 90,000 words. So all your marketing now has a bigger chance to get back, and then your next book that can lead to a different 3rd book and a 4th book, 5th book, whatever. But if you say trilogy, I mean, I don't like strapping myself in, and yeah, Big Red, it's the candy. It's almost like Iron Brew for Texans.
No, that Iron Brew. Are you talking about that stuff that's in Australia?
That would be Scotland, but yeah.
Well, I think I saw Iron Brew maybe first time in Australia, but we got whatever horrible shit. I'm sorry. This is no way. This is a nice, sweet. It's got a cotton candy flavor. That stuff, if it's the same thing, is hideous. I tried it.
Iron Brew's like
Dude,
bubblegum, man.
hell no. Not unless it's rock hard and probably granite tasting as well. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, yeah.
And and then Jens, thank you. I did get the image, so for posterity's sake, I do in fact show where I was at least ahead of Mr. Kraut Dakota in Cyberpunk in German for at least a day, a
There you
moment
go.
in time.
There you go. It's a big and expanding genre. Lit RPG, cyberpunk, game lit, and
Yeah.
they're all unique. They're all a little bit different. So understand that before you dive in.
Like, yeah, and the other axiom or the corollary to this is never believe a damn word Craig says. If he's pushing something, saying this is fantastic, yeah, well, take that with a grain of salt. I don't
I think I
know.
took a picture of you with an Iron Brew in front of you. It was my Iron Brew, mind you, but I still have that picture somewhere.
Well, wait, Iron Brew. I mean, it's not it's not a beer, right? Because
No, 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 no.
you'll drink. Okay, okay. I just want to make sure I got
It's
the
a
right horrible stuff.
it's a soda.
Yeah, no, it's not. A
It's
soda is sweet and has nice flavor. That shit is horrid. I tried it.
Oh goodness. So
Anyway.
so marketing and expanding, doing everything I can for newsletters, watching Hello Books from Mark Dawson and what he's doing to build a newsletter, watching what Michael is doing to build his newsletter to 1 million subscribers. I think both these guys have targets of 1 million, and I think it's a horse race like the chariots in a Charlton Heston movie, who can get there first. um, but that's something that you own, and this is an important facet. I know somebody brought up a question with what about Facebook and social media presence? Do you have to have it to sell books? Well, you can have it, and that helps you funnel people, but you can own your email list, and that's the important difference as opposed to. Earlier this year, one of our favorite authors, Mel Comley, she had her account hacked and taken, and then she didn't have access to it, and Facebook took it down, and she was without that for about 2 months.
Ooh.
So and it impacted her sales, and she's a New York Times bestselling author. She has good, healthy sales, and lost 50% of her sales because of that. So being strapped to that, especially, you don't know when you're going to say the wrong thing or the wrong algo is going to shut down your account. Whereas if you own your newsletter list and back it up, if Mailchimp cuts you off for some reason, you just take that list and go put it someplace else, and you send your newsletter, which is what I did for the Vegas newsletter. I imported into SendFox, but I had what I had done, and I figured this out thanks to them finally coming clean, was if you're under 20% open rate, they dial you down to an optimized list. They don't let you send to all your list. And so I imported the entire the 1,500 names I had from the Vegas registration, Vegas 2020, and I sent the email, and SendFox optimized it 47 people. They only sent it to 47. And I'm like, what the hell? So we got in touch with them. James took care of me. He got talked back and forth, and they're like, oh, because you had a low open rate. I'm like, what are you talking about? I had 50%. Well, I had done a resend to non-opens, so 6,300 subscribers and only 10% open rate, and they dialed the screws down instantly. And they told me anything under 20%. So I'm like, holy shit! I said, I'm running a conference. I have to send 100% of these emails. And they capitulated and took the shackles off my account. But that's because I got a 10% open on 6,300 emails, and that was like about my third or fourth email that I had sent. I'm like, hey, look at all these emails going out. I'm getting this high open rate, 25%. Oh my god, it was 10 to 20 times what I was getting from Mailchimp, because I was down to 2.5% open rate. I'm like, get the hell out of here. And so they undid that, and now, but what I did when it said sent to 47, and they didn't answer right away with on my plea for, hey, I need to send this email out. I just went over to MailerLite, $15, opened an account for. You can get up to 1,000. Well, I had 1,500 names, so $15, and it took me from starting the account to actually sending the email was 10 minutes. Because now the gouge is you do all your emails in Google Docs and you copy paste. So the email, if it gets eaten or the newsletter service self destructs some way, you just copy paste it into a different provider. MailerLite hooked me up, and sent it. So by owning that list, hey, I could fix that problem that was created.
Yes, there's definitely some love for MailerLite. Email list is a cash register. Vinny should know, because we pay him. And he's the one with the register.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I have no idea what dandelion and burdock is, and I wouldn't talk about it if I haven't tried it. But trust me, if I don't like it, I will say that. So,
Unashamedly so.
yeah, but I don't have. I mean, come on. Let's talk about what is it? Distinguished taste buds. I don't have distinguished taste buds. I like sugar. I like caffeine. I mean, it's not like
You like
the,
chili
I like
oil.
chili. Yes, I like chili oil and chili, which, by the way, is not the same thing as chili oil. Radically different. You don't want to put one on your Chinese food. Uh,
I tell you what,
so,
I do like chili on white rice though.
oh my good, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Actually, I do that. My family is a weird family. One side of my parents split, and one side would use potatoes, and one side would use chili, or excuse me, rice. And
Yeah.
so, it's very kind of a beans, no beans. No beans is the answer, by the way.
No, beans is the
Um,
right answer.
Yes, that's the right answer. You can say everything else you want. Um, I was talking to Mike Bray because it looks like we're going to have an opportunity, fingers crossed, to do a chili cook-off sometime early July, just a very small one, where my wife won't complain about it.
She won't give you a
So,
hard time about stinking up the condo and the whole
no,
floor of the building.
yeah, there's that. So, one time Mike had this lunch meeting, and so he decides to invite me, which you're never sure what's going on with Mike, as Craig knows, because sometimes Mike will do stuff just to sit there and laugh at you. Like he might, as a theoretical supposition, invite you and your spouse to the Western Writers Conference with the sole intent of introducing you as a science fiction publisher and having them beat the shit out of you all weekend long. So he can sit there and find out it's really funny. Theoretically, because he had the experience being a Western publisher for 4 or 5 years and thought, let's share the burden. It didn't work out for him, by the way. They loved us. But so having learned that after having gone to the Western Writers Conference, when he admitted to this, I now have to always question Mike's motives because he has that sadistic streak in him. And I forgot where the hell I was going with this conversation.
I just
Oh,
rice
bodacious chili. Okay.
and and Frito pie. Oh my god.
Oh, so good.
Yeah,
Uh, Actually, I'm not really a Frito fan, but if the chili's good, yeah, it adds a nice little crunch to it.
that
So
salt and then yeah, yeah.
yeah, So I'll take this longer story, make it short. Bootlegger, Italian restaurant, 24 hours, good place to go to if you're ever here in Vegas. A lot of famous people have gone to the restaurant. He invites an old reporter, older gentleman that's a reporter, as well as another one. So these two guys are there. Now they make Mike and I, and Mike is in his 60s, I'm in my 50s, look young. And there's very much a Felix, and what's the odd couple, Felix and what's the other
Oscar.
character? Oscar. So they're very much Felix and Oscar. Well, one of the gentlemen has a company who does this chili mix, Bodacious Chili. You can get it at bodaciouschili.com, I think.
Hmm.
And so he had given each of us a package, and I'd cooked it over in California, and it was delicious. It was like just this side of too hot, where you're like, oh, I can't, oh, this is hot. Give me another bite. And so I didn't know what to do, so I went to the website and I started ordering. I wasn't sure what I was ordering because they have like multicolored packages, and I just finally said fuck it. So I like two of these, two of these, two of these. Well, I didn't realize it was like a 4 ounce, an 8 ounce, and a 16 ounce of the same chili mix. And so I like get this package of chili mix, which I haven't been able to cook at all, except for my one faded effort where, we won't go into that.
Yeah, yeah, but we tried. We tried.
Yes. There's a question for you about DKIM and Spiff records.
About what?
Vinny is asking, does SendFox allow you to add DKIM, DKIM, and SPF records?
Oh, there we are.
Yeah.
Let you add an SPF records. I don't know what those things are.
Oh, Dean, that's right. Go ahead. Oh, I don't know what those are. They're related to making sure that your emails get sent and everything. It's
yeah, that's SendFox. They come from SendFox because it's like sendfox.craigmartelle.com. So it changes it. So they have optimized it. Can you do buy your own ISP like MailerLite? Add that in as an add-on and pay for a unique and things like that. The deliverability on SendFox is high. And that's why they get miffs. It took one time, 10%, and all of a sudden it's like, nope, screws are tightened down on you, buddy. And so I've been sending my 8,400 person list. I've been sending to 3,700 of them religiously. So they unlocked me on Monday, and so we've been reviewing this email that I'm sending on Monday because now it's going to the whole list again. And I've got that 20%. I got to hit that 20%. And here's 5,000 people that haven't heard from me in months.
Oh,
So
no.
that's yeah. This one has to resonate. I've got to get that open rate, and then they've got to get back in the good graces of the mail provider, SendFox.
So yeah, so it reminds me of the IT when they say, if you're on the cutting edge, you're bleeding, and you're on the cutting edge of a new service, and you were bleeding and you didn't know it.
Yeah.
I don't know the total number of people in the email list. For the person who asked that, I missed it. So the short answer is though that what I've done in our company is look at it as touch points. Emails are touch points. Facebook users are touch points. High quality Facebook ad targeted lists are touch points, meaning that if you've got something dialed in, that's valuable. You should recognize that. And so if you've got a Facebook ad group that's worth 200,000 people, consider those touch points and look at the complete business access of touch points. Now, obviously, emails, if you want to go to this point, you could say emails are worth 20 touch points a piece if you wanted to, but just understand the whole length and breadth of your touch points that you have as a company, including your social connections, how many, we've got tens of thousands of people in different groups, all of those things have value. I'm going to use Vinny since he's here. But Vinny has some different email lists as well. If you find that some of Vinny's lists are working for you, then consider those touch points. Look at the complete breadth of your marketing capability that you've tested and you believe work for you in all things. So.
Have I removed it? Absolutely, because, and this is like I said earlier with the King Sumo giveaway, is with SendFox, I bought 53,000 lifetime emails. And the way that works with SendFox is when you add one, that's 52,999 you got left. And if it's a duplicate, if you add the same one twice, that's 52,998. So it's incredibly important. I pull the list every time before I add people to make sure they're not already on there because I don't want to pay for them twice and still only send to them once. So this is a limitation of SendFox. It's okay. I can pull the list and do a quick duplicate check in Excel. And so I do that, of course. I mean, that is a very critical, and for SendFox, even more so. Because if you import it to MailChimp, they just deleted the duplicate without importing it. No big deal. No harm, no foul. Until they started charging me because I was grandfathered in, and then they changed that where, hey, nobody's grandfathered in anymore, just out of the blue, and I canceled my account. I don't have a MailChimp account anymore. I'm not
It
paying
sounds like.
$159 a month for 3,000 people on my list. Get the hell out of here.
So this happened back in 2016, and you remember back then whenever you would do affiliate sales for Amazon, and you would get the little bitty link in there. Well, things were getting so hectic at that time. There was, precious few resources that were doing everything, and so I got a little lazy, and I wasn't paying attention, and I used the URL, the shortened URL that had the affiliate link behind it, but I didn't know that. And I put that puppy in the book itself, which is a massive no-no for Amazon. So just, it reminds me of that time whenever we're trying to do these things, we're trying to run fast. And here I am advertising and trying to get affiliate sales out of books that I have inside Amazon. And yeah, I got my account shut down for that.
Your affiliate account, not your publishing
Yes.
account. Yeah.
No, yeah, I got my affiliate account shut down twice.
Okay.
The first time was because Amazon did some update and I wasn't using it to speak of. This is like in 2015, early 2016. But anyway, so they sent out some, hey, you need to update these documents. Well, I didn't even see the damn email until my account didn't work.
Yeah.
And so that was my first one. My second one was whenever I was sticking this shortened URL, wasn't paying attention, copy that thing into the back of the book, and poof, no more affiliate account.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. I've got, I upgraded my website, and it's pretty sexy now. And I'm getting 500 to 1,000 affiliate clicks a day.
That's nice.
Yeah, so I got that going for me, and it's we spent a lot of time. We spent months building this website. Rob McClellan did a great job and worked tirelessly with an army of people to import 140 some different titles, and they each have their own page. They're each cross-referenced like 3 or 4 different ways that you can search by genre, you can search by series, you can search by anything. And so it really makes it's visually appealing, it's easy to navigate, and it brings up all these titles, and you see the sexy covers, and I am getting an awful lot of clicks. So life is pretty good. And my SendFox issues are now fixed, so that's all. I don't need to contact anybody else. I mean, we've got great response from the their tech team. I mean, yeah, it takes a day for each one. Sometimes it's a little quicker, but yeah, when I want to send an email to the Vegas list, I want to send it right now. I don't want to doof around with that.
Yeah. So your suggestion at the end of this is make sure that depending on which reason you're using and sending your emails, you might want to have different email providers to accomplish it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because a MailerLite, all I have there is the Vegas list, and hey, that works for me. So I'll just keep it there. $15 a month. It's cheap. It works, and once we have everybody ported over to sked.com, and we're still waiting on that because we're down to 1,400, little under 1,400 attendees. We have a lot of people on the wait list, but I'm not going to open that up until I know how many that Sam's can handle. Because if they can handle the full amount that we contracted for, then okay, then I'll open up the wait list. We'll fill all the empty seats. But if we can't, well, then we'll keep drawing down, and that's we'll deal with what we have, and we'll do it as safely as humanly possible. I know I've been getting a bunch of shit from people wanting me to make a decision, and I'm not going to make a decision now on every masks are absolutely mandatory because November's 5 months away. We don't know.
So let me talk to that a little bit. Being your reporter on the street here in Las Vegas, let me tell you what is going to happen. People are going to not have masks. They're going
Yeah,
to walk into Sam's Club or Sam's Club, Sam's Town, and they're going to be living down the street, and they're not going to have masks, and there's not a thing you're going to be able to say about it. You're going to have people who go with the best of intentions to 20 books, and they're still not going to have a mask.
Yeah.
So if that is your concern, let's nip it in the bud. Don't go.
Yeah.
Period.
I mean,
Because we
we may
can't.
we may make masks mandatory in the individual sessions. It all depends on the state of the world at that point in time. And I mean, this is the important thing. 5 months from now, we'll make that decision probably about the last week of October regarding masks. So you can make sure you pack what you need to pack and stuff like that. And even if you're wearing masks in them, and whether people, I mean, the conversation is moot at this point, because I can guarantee here 30 days without a new case here in Fairbanks, and everybody went back to business as usual. And that's
Yeah. So
just how
yeah.
it is.
Occasionally you'll see about half and half here in Vegas with masks. More often than not, you're going to see 70 to 80% without masks and 20% with masks.
And you
So
guys
there's
just opened up, and yeah,
exactly. And anything, to your point, anything could happen if we had a second wave of it. Maybe people jump on it, but I would presume that you won't have as many people legitimate about it. So we were in Caesars, and what had started as the ability to go through, and they would shut off every other machine, so you had space. Apparently, what happened was you got a lot of people who were saying, "Hey, we're all part of the same family. We'd like to play together." And so they opened up the machines so that people, husbands, wives, so on and so forth, could play together. But then all of a sudden, people didn't realize that's what it meant, and you have random people all playing together again. And so a security person has to come by and go, "Do all of you know each other?" And if the answer is no, then he says, "I'm sorry, social distancing." But guess what? That doesn't change anything because the whole casino, and they can't tell everyone simultaneously.
we'll do the absolute best we can for our attendees. We don't want to get anybody sick. I mean, I got the flu during one of the 20 books conferences, and it sucked a whole
Oh,
lot.
yes.
And I'll
You're,
encourage everybody, get your flu shot before you come, at least 2 weeks, so it can work its magic. Because that's also out there. All of this stuff that'll make you sick is out there, and we'll do the absolute best we can. I mean, if you don't have the confidence in that, then just ask for a refund, and we'll fill your seat with somebody who does have the confidence that we are going to do the very best we can to take care of you.
the very best we can, which
Yeah,
is, I guess, what I'm trying to suggest. We can't dictate to people what to do. We just
there's going to
flat
be
can't.
people gambling. You're going to walk past them. They're going to be smoking. They're not going to be wearing a mask. They're going to be coughing and hacking, and
Not so much of that.
it's
Honestly, so yeah,
it's Samstown.
well, I get that, but I'm just saying that like I have walked into casinos where they shoot you with a temperature gun,
Yeah,
checking the forehead to see. So I have had some different things going on. So it's certainly in flux right now. I just want you to feel really comfortable with what's going on. And for me,
yeah,
that means assume toward the worst, not assume toward the better.
yeah, yeah. But it's also Vegas, and there is enough room that if you need to dodge and get past people, you can make your way and avoid people who you think are high risk, and then get into the conference rooms, and we'll do what we need to do to make sure everyone is comfortable. And if that means everybody wears a mask, then that's the easy answer. That will make that decision in October. So that's I'm not going to do it now, because who knows what'll come over the next 5 months. But that's it. That's
Next.
it. Vegas, but Vegas, we love Vegas, and we love going out to eat. I can't wait to get to Bolly's on the Strip, a
Yes.
Caesars property. So if you're staying at Bolly's, then you'll get the cool Bolly's, the cool Caesars group, and get to go to all the Caesars things with your cool, hey, I'm a Caesars member.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they
Way
do.
cool.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know Giordano's, which is the pizza place. We got to meet the manager after the pandemic shut the strip down, and they were open for a week or two. I was able to survive just because of them, and I got some good walking in at that point because it's not near the condo. But yeah, I look forward to that, and it will be another and new experience for sure. But
Yeah.
just know that do what we can. I mean, that's at the end of the day, that's all we can do.
We're doing the absolute best we can. That's it. Nothing more. Nothing less. Definitely not anything less. And for marketing, I think it's important keeping your name out there, keeping your brand solid and in the right way with your target demographic of readership. So you're appealing to them in a way that they're willing to buy your books. And I talk about the subarctic because most people don't know anybody from Alaska. So I mean, you people all do. Hey, you know somebody from Alaska. That makes me unique, and that's what I leverage. Hey, Alaska, I had Phyllis the Arctic dog, and always share pictures of those good things that can unite them, like a moose. When my truck got hit in the parking lot, and I took it down to the repair center, the I asked, oh, how long is this going to take? And they said, oh, not long, because there's only one other car we're getting in today, and a moose sat on the hood. And it was, and he said it matter of factly. It wasn't like trying to get a rise or anything. It's like a moose sat on the hood. So I got to knock out some dents, but you're right in there. We got room. Okay, good. At least a moose didn't sit on my truck.
No, I've seen the pictures. I mean, that when you see how huge a moose is, all of a sudden you realize, one, how puny you are, and
Yeah,
two, how do I not piss this thing off?
a full-grown bull can weigh up to 1,600, 1,800 pounds, and a full-grown cow can be over 1,000 pounds. These are big, big animals.
I mean, I wish I could have that as my front line for like my defense on a football team. Just the moose. Just all right, guys, load it up. Big antlers, just pushing everybody.
Yeah. When you're that big, you don't have to go fast.
No, not at all. So different things that are happening in just the bigger world. Companies are still purchasing rights. Some of them are trying to figure out what exactly is going on. They're, a little bit reconstruction from what's out there, but the audio is still going well. Um, we are doing some engaging stuff with Publishers Weekly, which we'll hopefully report on in November. And seeing what's going on, we have a list of a few thousand librarian names that we're looking into that we've acquired through using Publishers Weekly and getting our books out. There's always new opportunities, and at the end of the day, like we've spoken about right here, it's about awareness of your book. It doesn't have to, you don't have to spend a lot of money or even any money if you can figure out how to make your stuff go viral as a way of doing it. Just get people aware of your product, of your book, and it helps that those people who are aware actually read and like your genre.
There's that. That's a strict limitation. They have to
Yeah.
read. If you sell books, you want readers. I mean, that's kind of how it goes. But
Yeah.
entertainment, you're looking for people entertainment that you can at least get them to consider it, and that's finding those people is our constant challenge, and will always be the challenge going now and going forward.
All right, man. I think we're it. That's it.
I think that's it. 58 minutes we've had in. We answered some questions, and I think we're there. I don't know
Yeah.
when the next CNM show will be. I'm just doing stuff, filling in gaps. Hopefully, I had 3 podcasts yesterday that I did,
What for?
so that almost did me. And one with Jamie and Sarah, they were hilarious.
Hmm.
And then Wilnona on the authors. Oh, geez, I keep forgetting another podcast. A couple ladies out of Maryland, and
Hmm.
they were hilarious. And that was just a short, like 15 minutes, but it was be concise, be quick, heavy hitters, move on. Yeah. They wanted to get back to the beach. It was hilarious.
Well, hey, and congratulations. Your internet is superb.
Yeah. We made some changes for this month, and we're here. And I'm not going to pay. Well, I still have that $2,900 bill that I'll pay on the 22nd of this month, and then that'll be the last one like that. For Christ's sake, that was horrendous. All right, hey, you people have a great day. We will see you on the flip side.
Take care, everyone. Bye.